Okay, I believe we have it. I'm going to go back to my Facebook, make sure it's there. Go live. Okay, it looks like I am here. All righty. Took me a moment here to try to get set up. All right, so hi everyone. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. And as a grief and trauma relief specialist, I bring a wealth of expertise to my life coaching by combining personal experience with professional knowledge. I want to explore a topic that many of you find challenging, and that's building healthy relationships. And maybe you found it difficult to trust others, or maybe you find yourself in relationships where you don't feel fully seen, heard, or understood. Now, if this resonates with you, know that you're not alone. Past trauma has a way of impacting our ability to connect with others in deep, meaningful ways. But here's the good news. It doesn't have to stay this way. See, today we're going to talk about why this happens and how you can start building healthier, more fulfilling relationships. Now, first, let's talk about why trauma often leads to trust issues in relationships. Now, when we experience relational trauma, whether it's through betrayal, abandonment, or emotional abuse, it deeply affects our ability to trust others. And see, trauma doesn't just wound you emotionally, it also rewires how our brain perceives and responds to potential threats in relationships. When been hurt by someone close to us, our brain registers that experience as a danger, making us hypervigilant. And our brain's job is to protect us from being hurt again. So it stays on high alert, scanning for any sign, no matter how small, that we could be at risk of emotional harm. And this hypervigilance doesn't distinguish between real threats and perceived ones. And you might misinterpret harmless actions like a delayed response or offhand comment as signs of impending hurt. And this heightened alertness leads to self-protective behaviors and keeping people at a distance or becoming overly dependent, both of which prevent us from building real connection. Now, I worked with a client who, with her permission, shared her experience of pushing people away after a painful breakup. And she believed keeping others at arm's length would protect her, but instead, it led to loneliness and disconnection. Trauma convinces us that self-protection keeps us safe, but it often leaves us feeling isolated. Healing begins when we start recognizing these patterns and learning how to trust again. One tool I use with clients is the trust ladder, and this tool helps rebuild trust in small, manageable steps. And the idea is to take small steps toward vulnerability instead of overwhelming yourself by trusting too quickly. And start by identifying someone with whom you'd like to build more trust and practice sharing a small detail or expressing a need. Reflect on how that experience went and how it felt to be vulnerable. And the more you practice these small steps, the more comfortable you'll feel climbing the ladder and deepening trust. Now, it's not about blindly trusting others, it's about making trust a conscious, intentional practice. What's one small way you could begin practicing trust in a relationship? Share it with me in the comments and let's start building trust together. Trust doesn't happen overnight, but by taking small, deliberate steps, you can rewrite the old narrative shaped by trauma. Trust is possible, it just takes time, patience, and a willingness to move forward. Now, another challenge many people face is emotional intimacy. Trauma can create a wall between us and our emotions, making it difficult to connect deeply with others. When we lose touch with our own emotions, it's nearly impossible to be vulnerable in relationships. This emotional disconnect is a survival mechanism. Numbing feelings or avoiding hard conversations may seem like protection from pain, but it actually prevents true connection. When we've been hurt before, it feels safer to shut down emotionally. It might distract yourself with work or hobbies, but emotional numbing only deepens the disconnection in relationships. Avoiding difficult conversations can also create distance, making it harder to feel close to those you care about. The key to emotional intimacy is vulnerability, letting your guard down and allowing someone to truly see you. Although trauma can make vulnerability feel like a loss of control, it's actually the gateway to deeper connections. Now, I worked with a client, Tom, who struggled with emotional intimacy in his marriage, and he often bottled up his emotions out of fear, which led to anger and withdrawal. By helping him identify and express his feelings, he learned that vulnerability didn't mean losing control, but actually strengthened his connection with his wife. If emotional intimacy has been difficult for you, try the feel and share practice. First, feel. Check in with yourself daily and identify what emotions you're experiencing. Then share. Pick a safe person and share your feelings, starting very small. And then finally, reflect. After sharing, reflect on how it felt and whether it strengthened your connection. Now, a question for you. Do you find it difficult to open up emotionally in your relationships? What's been the hardest part? Sharing feelings, asking for what you need, or trusting that you won't be hurt? Let me know in the comments. Emotional intimacy takes practice, and the more you allow yourself to feel and share, the stronger your relationships will become. Vulnerability is not a weakness, it's the key to building deeper, healthier connections. And as you continue to practice opening up emotionally, remember that this journey is about taking small steps toward growth. Let's keep moving forward together, one step at a time. Now, my final teaching point explores how you can develop healthier relationship patterns after trauma. See, trauma, particularly relational trauma, can cause us to develop unhealthy ways of connecting with others. And these patterns are often rooted in our need for safety. We either pull away to protect ourselves from being hurt or become overly accommodating to avoid conflict or rejection. The good news is these patterns aren't permanent. With awareness and consistent practice, you can start to rebuild healthier relationships by making small but impactful changes. Developing healthier relationship patterns begins with building emotional resilience and learning how to trust again, not just others, but yourself as well. Emotional resilience is about being able to handle the ups and downs of relationships without losing your sense of control or yourself. It means managing your emotions, setting boundaries, and communicating effectively instead of falling back into old patterns of withdrawal or avoidance. And one of the most important tools in developing healthier relationships is setting boundaries. Now, boundaries aren't about shutting people out. They are about creating safe spaces where you feel respected and valued. For people who've experienced trauma, the fear of saying no can be overwhelming, and you might worry that by saying no, you'll face rejection or conflict. But setting boundaries isn't about being difficult. It's about ensuring that your relationships are balanced and respectful. For example, I had a client who struggled with this, and she often said yes to things she didn't want to do because she feared disappointing others. And then over time, this caused emotional exhaustion. Now, we worked on helping her set small boundaries, like saying no to social events when she needed time for herself. As she practiced, her confidence grew and she started to feel more in control of her relationships. Boundaries are a way of teaching people how to treat you. And when you have clear boundaries, you're showing others what you need to feel respected, safe, and valued. Without boundaries, relationships can become imbalanced, leading to feelings of resentment or emotional burnout. Now, boundaries are guidelines to help others understand how to connect with you in a way that feels supportive. That's one boundary you could set to feel more secure in a relationship. Now, feel free to share it in the comments, and let's start working on building those healthier connections together. Now, remember, developing healthier relationship patterns takes time and practice, but it's possible. Building emotional resilience, trusting yourself, and setting boundaries are all key steps toward creating relationships where you feel respected, valued, and safe. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. And one boundary at a time, one step at a time. So I'm here to support you on this journey, and together we can work toward creating healthier, more fulfilling connections. I want to thank you all for joining me today as we walked about, as we talked about rebuilding trust, emotional intimacy, and creating healthier relationship patterns. I know how challenging it can be to open up, set boundaries, and allow yourself to be vulnerable after experiencing trauma. But the key takeaway here is that healing is possible, and it begins with small, consistent actions. We explored the importance of emotional resilience, building trust with yourself and others, and how setting boundaries can be a powerful tool in developing relationships that are balanced, safe, and fulfilling. These are the steps toward creating the relationships you truly deserve. Now, if today's conversation resonated with you, I want to invite you to take the next step in your healing journey with my 6-week Stop Suffering Now program. Now, this program is designed to help you break free from the emotional and relational patterns that have been keeping you stuck. And then this program will work through 4 powerful pillars that will guide you toward deep, lasting change. In pillar 1, insight, we will uncover the root causes of your trauma, the patterns, beliefs, and experiences that have been holding you back, so you can gain clarity and self-awareness. And in pillar 2, impact, together we'll examine the effect trauma has had on your behavior, relationships, and even your health, and how you can start to shift these patterns for good. In pillar 3, intuition, this phase is all about reconnecting with your inner wisdom and learning to trust your instincts again so you can make decisions with confidence. And in pillar 4, implementation, finally, we'll put all the insights and healing strategies into practice, helping you create real, lasting change that empowers you to live a more peaceful, connected, and fulfilled life. And this program is perfect for anyone who feels stuck in their emotional pain or relationships and is ready to regain control over their emotions, start building healthier relationships, and reconnect with their inner strength. So the next session starts on Monday, November 4th, and I'd love for you to join us. And if you have any questions, feel free to get on a I Have Questions call with me by clicking the link in my comment below, or you can click on the cover photo in our Bridge to Healing community here on Facebook. I want to thank you again for being here today, and I look forward to continuing this journey with you. And together we can stop suffering and start building a life of peace, trust, and meaningful connection. I'm here for you every step of the way. See you soon.